My name is William Kearney, aka Kingwilliamjuelz. Everybody already know. Everybody that's in the music game, like a lot of people that's local from Baltimore, pretty much know who I am as an artist and a producer.
So Kingwilliamjuelz, where does that name come from?
Well, Kingwilliamjuelz is the name that I acquired in the streets. My old rap name used to be Blade Ransom, but then somebody ran and stole that name. So I had to switch that name, so everybody always called me King, which is my position. Juelz, for me, the meaning of it stands for knowledge and riches. And William is my name, which means protector. So you have position, protection, you got knowledge, and you got riches.
How would you describe your music?
Well, my music is pretty much, a lot of people probably look at it now and say gospel rap. I pretty much couldn't agree with that because gospel rap is mainly rappers that rap about church. They rap about God, but it seemed like to me a lot of that message is catered more towards the church. I come from a lifestyle of gangster rap music, and I never really made a transition. It's just I still kind of rap about life, but I just incorporate God in my music because I feel as though my music is dedicated to the prodigal sons and those that don't even acknowledge or know God.
So I noticed your shirt there, Above Earth Productions. Tell me a little bit about your production.
Above Earth Productions, I started that in 2019. And what it means is I have my music, I have a very big sound. Like I don't have a sound like everybody used to. My sound is more theatrical and cinematic. And I felt like my music was out of this world. So what better name to use was Above Earth. And I've been running with that since, like I said, since 2019. I'm in the process of building my company right now with some add-ons, trying to find young producers and get different things, because not only is it a label that deals with music, but I'm also going to be putting movies and stuff out too.
Tell me a little bit about your writing process.
You mean as far as writing scripts or writing music?
Let's go with music first.
Well, my writing process for music is, first I always get a vision for what I want to write. Then I get a title. Once I get a title, it's pretty much I can put the story together based on the title.
Where does your inspiration come from?
Well, it comes from a lot of places. I mean, like I've been doing rap music ever since 1993. My first inspirations was like LL Cool J, Run DMC, and then later on it was like DMX, Nas, Jay-Z. It's like a lot, but as far as doing music for God, I think my biggest inspiration was like the group that used to be called Commission and Fred Hammond. I think I'm like the Fred Hammond and Commission of gospel music because their music was catered towards the backslider, so is mine.
So tell me about the project or projects you're currently working on.
That's a lot. My music project that I'm working on is called Shelter from the Rain. And the reason why I wrote that is because in my Christian journey, I had a lot of downfalls, a lot of falling on my face and falling short. And there was times where I was crying out for help and nobody was there except for God. But I struggled in my early stages when I first got the idea to write it because I still was going through a process of, brokenheartedness and everything. But once I was able for God to deliver me and walk in my freedom, it made it that much more easier to, start working on the project and get it going to the way that God really wanted me to do it. I mean, I'm about 5 songs strong in right now, and it's better than I expected it to be so far. The other thing I got going on right now is I got a book called The Lazarus Season. That book is kind of parallel to the album because that book talks about a time of dying, not just dying to the flesh, but dying inside. Dying because you're in the wilderness and you don't know how to get out. When you're thirsty for God and you can't find no way to get drink. And that was the season I was in my lifetime where I even felt like I was going to give up on God. But then God came and restored me. He sent restoration in my life at the time of being in a secret place and seeking Him. And so Shelter from the Rain is it's basically about, how we need to get underneath, get in God's presence and let God be our help and be our protector. And it's talk about the gifts, how you let your gifts die, and God gave you those gifts, so you don't have the right to let those gifts die. So it talks about death and it talks about resurrection. God resurrected those gifts inside you, resurrecting the purpose that's inside of you, and also a reminder to let you know that God has need of you.
So what are the ideal outcomes from these projects that you're working on?
Well, so far, I've been getting positive feedback from those that I let get a sneak peek of some of the project. Like people been really reaching out to me and asking me about performing at different places, and different things like that. And pretty much they was blown away. People kept on telling me that they never heard nothing like that before. So that was an inspiration for me to hear that, because I'm like, yeah, I finally found a lane of my own that I'm driving in, and ain't nobody really doing what I'm doing. So I was thankful to God, because my prayer was one day, God, I was done with the music, and God had woke me up in a dream and reminded me that, He gave me those gifts. I don't have the right to really sit those gifts down and go my own way. And the passion never stopped. But the passion started burning once I was obedient to His voice and decided to do it again. My prayer was like, Lord, if you want me to do it this time, you're going to have to give me something unique, because I can't do it no other kind of way. I can't do it like everybody else doing it. But I knew that when I was doing it before, I got a lot of rejection from the church in the early days when I started doing, I started rapping about God in the 90s. I was getting a lot of backlash from churches, not specifically the church that I was attending at the time, because they basically supported it. They was like, man, that's unique. They like that. And there was another guy that I looked up to that we was doing music together, and his name was Joe Wesson. He the first gospel rap I ever seen before. And I met him at a block party at church, and I still was living my sinful life. And the dude passed me the mic at a block party. And I'm like, I know this dude don't want me to freestyle about a God that I don't even know nothing about. But God used me that day. It was crazy, because it worked out. And then ever since I've been, trying to do, music for God. But then there was a time where I was going through what I went through with different churches, and I got discouraged and I backslid, went back into the world for a while.
What would you say some of the biggest challenges are for your music career?
I think some of the biggest challenges for me was I had a lot of connections with industry individuals that made promises that they was going to help me out if I stayed doing the gangster music. But now that I'm doing music that pretty much caters to God, I don't think that they really want to deal with me on that level like that, because it's kind of hard to support something that you don't really believe yourself. Another challenge is because my message is raw, how would the church accept it now that I don't sound like other gospel rappers? I don't have a minor chord style. I have a major chord style. And so it's not, my message is more from the dark side of life's perspective than it is the bright side. Even though I have music that talks about being an overcomer and music that displays my testimony, it still comes from a place of darkness, and it's raw. Pretty much, it's giving people that feel again. Hip hop and gospel rap music has both been missing that feel, that emotional aspect, and then it's like I'm here to bring that back.
So you talked about some of the challenges, but what are some of the joys of your music writing?
Well, I think the joy is I see the growth. I see growth on a level that I never saw myself being in. Like I've always been an artist. This is my first album that I'm actually producing on my own with really no help. And I see that God has matured me and nurtured me as a producer, because now other people, they like, man, your sound is like magnificent, and they want to be a part. So it just shows that, I've grown. I mean, I got to give credit to a guy named Lawrence James and Ray Chance, because when I was a young artist, they was grooming me as a producer when I was young. So I gotta give them credit for that. Everything that I know about producing, I learned from them and the basic parts, but a lot of the more technical stuff I kind of learned on my own, watching YouTube videos, taking classes, and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, the inspiration is there every time I complete a song and it sounds good. That's joy for me.
So you've talked a little bit about what you're working on now. What are the long-term goals?
The long-term goals is, honestly, I want my music to really set me up for ministry on a broader scale, because I know that God has worldwide ministry inside of me, and I believe that the music is going to finance ministry. I believe that music going to put me in the position, not just music, but the books and the movies that I got coming, a collaboration of all those things put together. I feel like it's going to put me on a platform to reach the masses of broken people. God gave me something that's different than what everybody else got. What I have is unique. Yeah, victory is mine. Satan will no longer take from me. I'm going in the enemy camp, and I'm taking back everything that he's stolen from me.
Jehovah Jireh, my provider, Jehovah Nissi, Lord our banner, Jehovah Rapha, Lord our healer, Jehovah Shalom, Lord our peace.
That's the survival of the fittest. I was gifted with this lyrical sword. Fight the good fight of faith in the spiritual war. Hitting treasure through spiritual doors. I'm in a secret place, patiently waiting on Lord. You go